Good morning, family. How is everybody doing? I am Tony Lindsay, the host of the upcoming podcast and talk show, We Need to Talk. That's right. The name of the show is We Need to Talk. Um, but before we talk about the new podcast that's on the way. I kind of wanted to talk about um, suicide. I see a lot of people talking about a young man, DJ Twitch. I really don't know much about him. I really don't even watch TV, so I don't know anything about the Ellen Show. And, you know, I've just kind of been, tuned out of a lot of I don't know, I guess the hot topics, so to speak, and more so focusing on, building um my own empire, so to speak, or just trying to survive right now in this current inflationary market, you know. But I see a lot of people talking about it, you know, and the crazy thing is, it's like we don't really talk about suicide until a celebrity dies. Some famous person takes their own life. And there are so many. I'll say this: suicide has become so common in today's society that we no longer even talk about it in like the realistic terms of what it is, as far as a person taking their own life. And it's a tragic way to go out. But even the way that we talk about it, if you look in the news media, when people write about it, it's death by suicide. Almost to, I guess, take the responsibility away from the person who chose to take their own life. And I'm not saying that in an antagonistic way. What I'm saying is that we have to face the fact that people are making the conscious decision to depart from this world. And we have to ask ourselves why. Why is this happening? Why are so many people so distraught, so feeling such hopelessness that they feel that they need to just end it all and just leave this earth, leave behind their families, their children, their friends? you know, how bad can things be? Right? Especially when you're someone who may be wealthy, have a certain amount of societal privilege. We it's like, how bad can things really be? And I think if we truly think about it, there are certain things that contribute to this this far more frequent suicide rate that we're seeing. I mean, if you look throughout history, if you just kind of look at the numbers, you'll see that suicides have been on a steady um, increase. They've not been on the decline. They've been steadily increasing, especially since somewhere around 2016. I think about 2016, suicide rates have been on the rise, and they've increased dramatically, ever since the response to COVID-19. And s- now we understand how, in certain cases, in many cases, suicide rates are connected to poverty, mental illness. But I want to talk about one of the reasons why I think we're seeing such a high rate of suicide in society today, and that's escapism. I think we live in a society of escapism, whereas we're no longer willing to face the realities that surround us. And whenever we're confronted with those realities or forced to face it, we 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 completely reject it, and it's almost as if it destroys our total understanding of reality and ourselves. And and unfortunately, sometimes it just seems too unbearable to withstand it. It's too hard to take, and some of us just choose to escape because we've been trapped in a false reality for so long. A lot of it has been propagated by social media. But if you look at the trends in society today, there's, we've kind of been engineered to see life through an unrealistic lens of what we would like it to be, as opposed to what it truly is. Now, we've talked about issues like cognitive dissonance. We've talked about uh, mass formation psychosis. We've discussed that when it came to COVID-19. But I think all of it comes back to escapism. The society that we are in today, it is so out of whack. It is so full of manipulation and and bad intentions that the only way for many of us to even survive and navigate this climate is through our own delusions, or pretending that life isn't what it is. Because when we face the reality of the type of society that we've created, it's disappointing, it's depressing, it's infuriating. And I can truly understand, especially within the over the last few years. You know, of course, I'm not suicidal, but I can truly understand how some people would decide or can decide to take their own lives. I've just there's a quote from James Baldwin that says, "To be black in America and relatively conscious is to be in a constant state of rage, or in a state of rage all the time." It's something, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not exact on the quote, but I think the more we're faced with truth, the more we're faced with the reality, the unpleasant reality that is before us, it becomes harder to bear because we've created an alternate reality for ourselves. And when you destroy that alternate reality, which to us is reality, I can understand and I see how so many people just feel that they should no longer exist, because their existence has been completely invested into the reality that they have created, and this society has created around them. But now it's just been completely destroyed. Now, there are so many people who, at face value, you would think they're so happy. You would think everything is wonderful, their lives are great. But a lot of us, we're going through internal struggles that we just don't want to discuss, or sometimes we just feel that no one is even going to hear us. And especially, that is something that especially affects Black men. And I want to talk about that because, and I'm going to use Black men as an example in this. Black men have been the forgotten group in this country as it pertains to uh, concern for their emotional welfare and their overall well-being. I think that, you know, overall, Black people as a group have been taken advantage of and pretty much dismissed in this country. But I think there's a special type of oppressive behavior that Black men have been subjected to for far too long that has really affected us internally. And it's quite difficult for Black men in particular to even discuss their problems, because we've created an environment where Black men don't feel that they have any safe spaces to discuss freely and openly, without fear of judgment and or ridicule, the problems that they are facing today in society. You know, I've seen, if you look at most of the most famous memes out there, with the Michael Jordan crying meme, Kanye West crying, Will Smith, tears in his eyes. You know, we've made we've just made this whole thing out of humiliating Black men. Like we don't even think about it. We don't even realize how these things psychologically affect Black men. When Black men try to discuss their problems, they're judged for it. And, we're called feminine, too sensitive, we're not being manly. So, or we're accused of being hateful or violent. So any semblance of masculinity within a man is called toxic, right? When as pertaining to the strength or the protective nature, the assertiveness, the confidence, that's deemed as wrong from a societal point of view. But whenever a Black man he chooses to be vulnerable, he's also attacked for that. So then we feel that there's no safe space for us to discuss our issues the way that we feel, because we're going to be dismissed. So what do they do? What do we all do? We bottle it up, we keep it inside, and we just try to be strong. And a lot of times the people that you see with the big smiles on their faces, who invest so much of themselves to make others happy, they're going through a lot of struggle themselves, and they themselves are not happy, and they are the ones who truly need the support. I understand how these high profile suicides can affect the collective, where it kind of brings it to the forefront, it calls attention to these issues, but we're not paying attention to the people around us, the people in our immediate surroundings who may be suffering the same sort of trauma, the same sort of depression. There are so many people around us who are in need of our love and our care, our attention, just an ear to listen. And we have to be willing to provide it if we truly want to attack this problem that we're seeing today. But we also can't be afraid of telling the truth. We can't be afraid of facing the truth. We have to get out of this practice that we've created in this society that has made everyone, for lack of a better term, so soft and so unwilling to face the truth when it is presented to them. Because we've created an environment where the truth is now labeled as violence, where the freedom to express yourself in love is quite often labeled as hate speech. And it creates a depressing environment all around, where most people are afraid to communicate their authentic selves to each other. And when you have so many people who are afraid to engage with each other, if afraid to communication, to engage in communication with each other, this is where you get a ticking time bomb. Everyone loves to be heard. Everyone wants to be heard. But if we create a society where no one feels that they have the freedom to be heard, where no one feels that anyone is willing to hear them, and that they even have no right to speak up, that can be devastating to one's cycle, their psyche. So I can understand how depressing life becomes for people in this environment that we're creating, and it's only getting worse. There's so much hostility to to human expression. Think about it. We are in a time that is full of overt hostility to authentic human expression. So if we're afraid to express ourselves, how can we see any other outcome outside of escapism? Escapism today in society is nothing more than a defense mechanism that we have created for ourselves because of an environment of social engineering that teaches us that up is down, left is right. The things that we see with our own eyes are not real. It's a forced delusion that we're all inhabiting right now. But I think the best way to get out of this is for all of us to start being more open with each other, honestly. You know, and I know it sounds kind of crazy, like, whoa, wait a minute, you're saying that the best way to prevent suicide is by giving people sometimes the harsh reality that faces them? Yes, I totally believe so. Because when people are in a position where they have to face reality, it makes them stronger, especially when they have support systems around them. But we've confused support system with hiding information, with silencing voices, in many cases, in order to protect people from the truth. You cannot protect people from the truth, because whenever you hide the truth from people, you're actually harming them. The truth, if, you know, not to sound cliche, shall set you free. We've become so blissful in our ignorance that we're no longer to face the reality that surrounds us. So, suicide, I believe, is directly tied to escapism, because when you have the real world and the real problems that you're facing clash with the reality that you have created for yourself, that's a recipe for disaster. So I would encourage people to just step back and like, we're all going through problems. And if you just think about it, you yourself just listening to this, how many things are you going through right now, or how many things are sitting on your heart that you wish you could really talk about openly, but you are afraid to, because you can't, because it may offend people, or you're afraid you may be judged for it. Maybe there's something you're going through, there's some certain thoughts and experiences, things that you're questioning about, even about yourself, but you're afraid to talk to someone about it because you don't want them to judge you, or look down on you, or become angry with you. That's the type of environment we're in, where you feel that you're not able to express your authentic self without being attacked, or ridiculed, or just judged, or just looked upon differently. You know, that's why I always try my best to be an ear for others. But unfortunately, one of the drawbacks of that is that when you become an ear, a shoulder to lean on for so many other people, sometimes they get so used to it and they feel entitled to it, and there's no one for you to lean on. And I think that's another problem that we face as well, because a lot of the people today who do commit suicide, they tend to be empaths. People who want to make other people happy, you know, but a lot of times we forget about our own happiness and our own security and our own mental health and well-being. So not only should we invest more into our own uh mental health, our own sanity, you know, but we need to also be willing to hear someone else's point of view. Just listen to them. You don't have to interject with your opinion. You don't have to even offer solutions. But sometimes all a person really needs is just an ear to listen. And to those of us who who have those people in our lives, who have those people who are willing to hear us out and hear our problems and hear our concerns, just remember that relationship should be reciprocal. So, all I can say to all you guys out there who are going through some hard times, please just stay encouraged, be strong. Um, things will get better. I know it sounds cliche, but things will get better. They're not going to always be on the decline forever, you know? But talking to someone is always the best solution. using your voice, expressing yourself. So please, people, we have to get out of this practice of telling people to shut up when they say things that may offend us or things that may make us a little uncomfortable, because everyone, I mean, it's vital to mental health to be able to express oneself. So if you just think of it from that perspective, you can even understand why I go so hard for free speech, which to me is shocking to see the 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 temperature right now, to see the environment where so many people are so anti free speech. If you notice, we've come to adopt this mantra that words equal violence. And it's crazy, because what is the one thing that we should be able to use in order to free us mentally and spiritually? Our words. All of this, I feel like, is just this massive psyop to force people into a deeper state of control. So, and hopelessness. So I would just say to you guys, please don't become hopeless. Don't be angry at those who use their own voice, those who are not afraid to use their authentic voices. Sure, they're going to say things that offend you sometimes, but that's okay. Guess what? You can use your authentic voice as well, because communication in all forms is what leads to healing and understanding. Even when somebody is wrong, you can still learn something from them. But if there's no communication, not only will you not have the tools to learn from them, but you may lose your opportunity to get something off your chest that you really needed to, that could free you from some of the turmoil that you have within. So to anyone that's going through, some if you're going through depression, suffering, go talk to somebody. I mean, if you can't find a professional to talk to a family member, talk to a friend, talk to somebody you trust. Shit, hit me up, talk to me. I'm totally fine with that. We have to be there for each other because we are a community. It takes a village, remember? We say that when we're talking about our kids, but it's not just our children. We have to be there to hold each other up as a community and as a society. So this message is for everybody out there. Let go of the escapism, and I think we'll be able to build a better world. All right. So that's all I have to say right now. I just was, sorry if it came off a little bit as rambling, but sometimes I just have to get these things off my chest. And also, I do want to say, let's not reserve our concern or outrage for instances that take place only when it happens to our favorite celebrities or influencers or public figures. Let's have that same level of concern and interest for our fellow man, for your neighbor, for your cousin, your friend, your uncle, your brother, your mother, your sister, your children. Let's do that. Let's focus more upon our sense of community as opposed to hyper focusing on celebrity. All right. Peace, y'all.